Everybody. I hope you're having a good night. I'm sure it'll take a little while for people to join me, so I'm just going to kind of babble for a few minutes. If you come in late, you can always just rewatch the video at the end. Um, if you have any questions, I don't know if I'm going to see comments pop up, but we'll see. I haven't done this in a really long time because I haven't. So we'll see what happens. I was going to apologize for being late, but I'm actually right on time. As I was setting this up, everybody in the house decided now was the time to enter the kitchen. And that's where I am. So all of a sudden, everybody in the house needed a snack right at that moment. But anyway, so I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the coronavirus that you would have to be living under a rock not to have noticed. Some of us might actually prefer to be living under a rock right now. I know some days I would. And I have been limiting my access to social media, and I don't much watch the news anyway, but I did break. I had gone a good week, actually, without being on social media at all, with the exception of posting pictures to Instagram, which also go directly to my Facebook page. But I was staying off of my personal my personal Facebook page. But it turned out that I needed to know what was going on with my kids that are in school. I have some kids in school and some kids that are homeschooled. So I needed to be brought up to date. So I broke my social media silence. And I would like to unbreak it now and go back into hiding. But anyway, so this coronavirus, which they're calling COVID-19, is in the same, I guess you call family of viruses as many might remember when SARS went through, that started in Beijing. But we never had any types of shutdowns or anything like that. But it's in the same category of viruses as that. SARS is also a type of coronavirus. Basically, what this is, it is a type of viral pneumonia. Most cases, the vast majority of cases, people get it and they recover in a week or two, no lasting effects, no hospitalizations, rest, treating at home, and most people have actually quite mild symptoms. I don't know if I'm going slow on your end. I'm going very slow on my end. My computer's been running really slow. But anyway, 1 to 2 weeks, no treatment for the vast majority of people. Some people do begin to experience some shortness of breath. Again, that is the pneumonia. It's inflammation from not only infection, but your immune system trying to fight that infection that causes the inflammation, and the creation and release of mucus. And what happens is the reason why you're having trouble breathing is because there is pus and mucus. I know, it's really pleasant, right? Congesting the alveoli, which is the little sacs at the end of all those little venules and everything in your lungs that transfer oxygen and carbon dioxide back and forth. And because they are so inflamed and filled with gunk and pus and mucus and everything, that they can't. And this is going to be important later when I tell you what I would do, if myself or someone in my family happened to come down with it. But that tells us that we are looking at a damp condition where there is a buildup of fluids, that fluids are stuck where they shouldn't be, either because they are too thick to move on, they're building up too fast. Um, and that is something that we can kind of help um, if the mucus is thicker than it should be, so it can't flow through like it should, or there's too much of a buildup. We definitely don't want to necessarily um, stop that process, but we want to support our body. We want to support our body's ability to finish that process. First of all, how do we now, as hopefully healthy individuals, support not only our immune system but our respiratory system as well, as this is a respiratory virus. So we want to really focus on, if we have any concerns, we really want to focus on our respiratory system as well. But I'm going to start with the immune system. And we can obviously, there are many ways, and we want to take a whole body approach to this. It's not just what can I take. And of course, there are herbs and supplements that you do want to strongly consider during these times. Things like probiotic foods, sauerkraut, kefir, kombucha, yogurt, what have you. Whether it's a plant-based yogurt or a dairy yogurt, whatever, any type of probiotic foods. You can take a probiotic. The more you can get in a food base, the better. I know we're living in this time where we're always being told, oh, take this pill, even our herbs, we take our herbs in pills, when really we could be taking them in food. I know the chocolate bar looks way better, but we should really be taking as much as we can in our natural diet. So probiotic based foods, fire cider. This is an excellent time to use fire cider. Fire cider has it is an apple cider vinegar base with garlic and onion and ginger, horseradish, lemon, turmeric, cayenne. There are a lot of different fire cider recipes, and they're all amazing. And you can add some aromatic herbs into, a lot of these are aromatic anyway, like the ginger and everything, but you can add some more aromatic herbs in there, like maybe rosemary, oregano, thyme. Aromatic herbs are really good antivirals, and many of those that I just mentioned also are really good for supporting the immune and the respiratory system. So you can put those in there and make some fire cider. It's really good. You can actually even, make a dressing out of it and put it in a salad or dip some veggies in it or something. Even some steamed vegetables, you can drizzle it over some steamed vegetables or something. There are tons of different ways to use it, and it's really good. We obviously want to be drinking a lot of water. We want to drink water all the time anyway. Again, for those that have just joined me, if I don't know if I'm going to be able to see comments here, if you make a comment while I'm talking and I don't respond to you, it's because it's not popping up on my side. But as soon as I post the video, if I see them, I'll respond then. But hopefully I'll see any comments. We want to be drinking a lot of water. Water is really good for flushing our immune system, for our liver, our digestive system, flushing our immune system, flushing our system, supporting and flushing our liver, our kidneys, really our whole body. We are made up mostly of water. So we really want to make sure that we're drinking that, 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. Coffee doesn't count, soda doesn't count, juice doesn't count. Water counts. If you can get like a cup of warm water in the morning with some lemon squeezed into it, that's great. It's absolutely awesome. Great for your immune system, great for your liver, great way to start the day. It gets your digestive system moving. It's awesome. Also, garlic, like I mentioned before in the fire cider recipe. There's nothing that's the right thing for everybody, but if your body does tolerate it, like 3, maybe 4 cloves of raw garlic a day, um, can be really, really incredible. It's not only, an antiviral, um, it's also just really good for your respiratory and your immune system. Um, and if you can get those 3 to 4 cloves of raw garlic a day, and don't just swallow them like a pill, you want to eat them in something. Um, Even if it's in fire cider, or you mince some garlic and put it on some toast or something, like before you like toast it and then put some butter and garlic on it, something like that. If you can get that garlic in, garlic. If you already have low blood pressure, garlic can lower it even more. Not a super concern, but it has happened to me where I eat a lot of garlic and then in a little while I get lightheaded and dizzy. Um, it passes in a few seconds and it's not recurring or anything. I love garlic. I eat lots of garlic and I have always had naturally low blood pressure. Um, but if it doesn't agree with you, there are plenty of other things you can do. You can also think of adding kelp and stinging nettle to your diet, whether it be in tea or oils or anything. They're high in vitamins and minerals, and they're really they're immunoprotective. They protect your immune system and help it function properly. Another thing we want to consider adding if we're thinking about vitamin supplements is high doses of vitamin C, up to 2,000 milligrams twice a day. This is for an adult. Children, the dose would be lower. Up to 2,000 milligrams of either a buffered or a liposomal vitamin C twice a day, as well as, food-based sources, obviously. Fruits. I'm drawing a blank here. Hibiscus, hibiscus and rose hips are also very high in vitamin C. And I know I'm also, my brain just, and I forgot a few others, but rose hips and hibiscus are also very high in vitamin C as well. But the buffered and the liposomal as a supplement, they're more easily absorbed and they're gentler on the stomach. If you do notice some digestive issues, back down a little bit from it, and they should go away right away. And that's the dose that's good for you. That's something that you want to go, if you're actively sick, you want to take even more than that. Also, vitamin A. Vitamin A is really important. It helps rebuild and strengthen the villi in the lungs, which is what's being affected here. It's also really good otherwise for vitamin A for like asthma and seasonal allergies and stuff like that as well. So vitamin A is something really important that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about. Another thing that's important, we're talking whole body here. We want to make sure we're getting exercise and fresh air. We want to get out in that fresh air. Don't lock ourselves in the house with the stale air. We want to get out and moving. That doesn't mean that you have to be in a crowd of people. Go for a walk. I go for 1 to 3 walks every day. Do I see other people walking? Yes. I have never seen so many people walking since I moved here, and it's incredible. You can still keep your social distance from people if you have to walk by them on the street. The streets are plenty big enough for everybody. And you also want to make sure that you're managing your stress level. Stress is really bad for our immune system. So if we're sitting here locked in our house, stressed out about, those of us that have been laid off and are affected financially, those of us that are still working and afraid we're going to come into contact with somebody who's sick and they're going to get us sick. Worry in general, worrying about our family, worrying about, even stresses that we had beforehand. And now these are just added onto it. We want to make sure we're managing our stress appropriately. Again, exercise can help with that. A good B vitamin can really help your nervous system. You can think about making a tea with some good nervine herbs like skullcap, lemon balm, catnip, chamomile, stuff like that, passion flower. things like that that can help um, calm you out. Meditation and yoga, excellent, along with actually getting your circulatory system going, are all excellent things to also add into. We're not just talking about, adding supplements and adding herbs here. We're talking about what can we do to help support our whole body. Um, so get out, get that fresh air, even if it's just out in the yard. I've been out in my garden every day. I take walks every day. Um, Anything that you can do. However, some good herbs that you might want to think of to support your immune system. Elderberry. You can take elderberry, not just, it doesn't have to be elderberry syrup, although that's the most common way that people see it. But you could make a tea with it. I have a really yummy elderberry glycerin tincture that I made. I had a little bit of leftover elderberries from all the elderberry syrup I made earlier in the season, and I couldn't get any more. So I made a small batch of elderberry glycerin, and it is so delicious. It's nice and sweet because it's in glycerin. You take a smaller dose, so it's really great that way. That is something that I would take on a regular basis when I'm healthy, to hopefully prevent getting sick in the first place. That's sort of like a regular thing that we would take. As well as astragalus. Astragalus is a really good one. It's kind of a sweet herb. It's an adaptogen. It helps our body adapt to stresses and everything like that, and it can support our immune system and our nervous system, and a lot of the systems in our body, actually. Astragalus is another good one that I would take every day. But if I did happen to come down with something, as soon as I felt myself coming down with something, I would actually stop the elderberry and I would switch to something like echinacea. Echinacea is a really good antiviral. I know we do use elderberry for the flu and stuff like that, but on the whole, I really would switch to something like echinacea at the very start of anything. I feel myself coming down with anything, achy body, sore throat, cough, what have you, I would switch right to the echinacea. Although I have been known to put echinacea in some elderberry syrup. So it depends on the person. It depends on the situation, really. It's good to have, rather than sitting here worrying about what you're going to do if it happens, it's good to have a plan. It can help you feel better knowing that you have what you need on hand and you have a plan to deal with something before it comes up. And that's what I do at the beginning of every season. I try and say, okay, what might I need this season? And I kind of make my herbal medicine cabinet for each season that way. One of my teachers actually just brought this up. Japanese knotweed. Japanese knotweed is a powerful antiviral. It's actually used often in the treatment of Lyme disease, which I know is bacterial. But she brought up that Japanese knotweed would be something that's very good to take in this situation if one found themselves getting sick. Now, as far as supporting our respiratory system, especially if we have weakened lungs for whatever reason, we can think about respiratory herbs. Mullein is a really good respiratory tonic. When you make a tea or a tincture with mullein, you want to make sure you strain it through a coffee filter because it has these little hairs on it. And if you get any of those little hairs into your tea or your tincture, they're going to irritate your throat. Also be careful when you're pouring it because it can tend to dust up and then you'll end up coughing for like an hour. I speak from experience. It happens. But mullein is a really good one. You can drink a cup of mullein tea. It also, I find it very effective for the nervous system. My very first experience with mullein, when I was in school was a group of us were sitting around in a circle, and we all got a little bit of, we all got a cup, or mug of mullein infusion. And what we were supposed to do was just sit there, and we were supposed to smell it and taste it and feel what it was doing inside our bodies. And I actually felt so calm um, that it almost scared me. I guess I didn't realize how actually anxious I always was. It was just sort of the normal for me. Um, and two of us out of the group of, I think there was 8 of us, actually had that intense of a calming feeling. I know intensity, but so that can also be very helpful in calming us during the stressful times, as well as supporting our respiratory system. Other things like butterfly weed, also known as pleurisy root. Butterfly weed, where are you? I want to make sure I don't forget anything. Where are you? Where are you? Pardon me for a moment. There it is, right in the back. It is it's a cooling herb which can help the inflammation, and it actually is used for pleurisy. Butterfly weed and pleurisy root, they're named for the same thing. But it's an expectorant, which can help stimulate the secretions of the body and help expectorate them out. It's actually specific for pneumonia, which is very cool. You can combine it with elecampane and mullein, cayenne if you need some warming. Lobelia. Lobelia is a low dose plant. I would use that one with caution. It's not toxic, but lobelia, especially when made in a tea, can make you nauseous if you drink too much. A tincture is less likely to do so if you take it in like drop doses. But you can make a nice blend with like elecampane and mullein to support your respiratory system, especially if you are beginning to get sick. And we talked about mullein. Elecampane. Elecampane is another one that's specific respiratory herb, and it's an astringent. An astringent means it tones and tightens the tissues in the body, and it is really specific for the respiratory system. So it can help sort of dry up that damp constitution you have in your lungs, which is a good thing, and help sort of move things along that way. It actually stimulates and helps you release stuck fluids, stuck mucus from the lungs, which if you remember earlier, that stuck mucus and pus that I said, so pleasant, stuck mucus and pus in the alveoli, in the lungs, and that buildup of fluid in the lungs that makes it difficult to breathe. So really think about something like elecampane, which is really specific for this. Someone who has done damage to their lungs either by smoking or maybe the line of work that you're in, maybe not wearing a mask when you should have, some type of dust or whatever. It's really good for helping to support the healing of the lungs from that damage. So again, you can use that for other things, but if it's another really good one to consider if you do find yourself ill. Obviously, if you're having trouble breathing and what you're doing is not working, please seek medical attention. This is not a don't ever go to the doctor. Definitely know when to go. Um, but I don't feel like anybody suffering minor symptoms or somebody who is effectively helping themselves at home with rest or whatever, I don't see the benefit of somebody that doesn't need medical intervention to be going out and potentially infecting other people. But obviously, if you need that treatment, please go seek that treatment. Um, Bone set is another one. I know when you think of bone set, you think of bones. And you would be right. But bone set is actually another good expectorant and an antispasmodic. So if you feel like, you're coughing and you can't, and I know I'm really bad at faking it, but whatever. You can't take that deep breath and your lungs are twitchy, and it can help relax the muscles in your chest so you can better expectorate. It also it's another one. It's another one that helps move that stuck mucus. A good thing. It helps it move that stuck mucus, get it out of the way. It doesn't stop your body from doing its job, but when that mucus is stuck, that's where we have a problem. So you want that mucus to move. So think about bone set. Red clover. Red clover is really tasty. It's a really good tonic. It's really good for the immune system, and it's great for treating children especially. And it's also really good. It's really good for recovering from respiratory infections. So this might be something that you might consider using kind of on the upswing when you're in that, what they call convalescence period, when you're recovering. It's great for all kinds of congestion and stuff like that. But it also helps move stagnation, which is what that stuck mucus is. A great one for kids. Really, any of these herbs I'm talking about are fine for kids. Dosage is everything. There's nothing I would say, no, children don't use it. If you have any questions about dosage, just ask me. Red clover does have blood thinning properties. So if you're going in for surgery, you want to avoid it for 2 weeks just to be on the safe side. Or if you're on any type of heart medication or are taking blood thinners, you want to avoid red clover. Chaparral. Chaparral is another good one. It's a great detoxifier, and it actually decreases inflammation, not only in the digestive tract, but in the respiratory tract as well. It has a way of going through, it seems to go through the whole body and clear out thick, stuck residue. So again, we're talking about all these herbs that are really good at that. And it's a problem that seems to be common in those that suffer complications from COVID-19. So again, it helps detox toxins as well that are built up when our body is fighting off these infections. So chaparral is another good one to consider. Small doses, a small part of a formula that you can create, or I can create for you depending on the person. I feel like every formula I create is different for everybody. I really do create formulas specifically for each person. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If anybody has any questions, just let me know. And I think I'm going to go live again next week. I've seen a lot coming up about fevers. and how people still want to suppress them. Um, so I think I'm going to come back next week. I'll post what day and what time, usually 9 p.m. After the little one goes to bed. Otherwise, she'd be climbing all over me right now, which not a big deal, but it's easier this way. So I hope everybody's healthy and has a good night and continues to stay healthy. And I will see you sometime next week to talk about fevers.